Sorry about that delay. Welcome to Area 3 meeting. I'm David Thornlywell and I'm the chairman of this committee. For the benefit of those watching on YouTube channel, members of the committee are present in the chamber and these members will be voting on the application before you this evening. Other members of the council may be in attendance participating via MS Teams and can take part in discussions and ask questions but cannot vote. Your attention is drawn to agenda item 1, which sets out the guidance on how meetings will be conducted, including the ground rules. Your attention is also drawn to the rules for public speaking in respect of planning applications and the committee procedure rules in the council's constitution, which apply to this meeting. Before we start the formal business, we will confirm attendance of voting members by doing a roll call. Could Sally do that?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. When I call your name, please can you confirm that you are present, Councillor Thornywell?
Present.
Councillor Bell? Present. Councillor Benderson?
Present.
Councillor Bishop?
Yeah.
Councillor Cannon?
Present.
Councillor Chapman?
Present.
Councillor Dalton?
Present.
Councillor Davies?
Present.
Councillor Hammond?
Present.
Councillor Hickmott?
Present.
Councillor Kears? We have received apologies from Councillor McDermott. Councillor Oakley?
Present.
Councillor Williams?
Present.
I can confirm we have 13 voting members present.
Perhaps I can ask the officers to introduce themselves, starting with Sally to my left.
I'm Sally Wan, Democratic Services Officer.
Robin Gilbert, Major Projects Team Leader.
James Moisey, Principal Planning Officer.
And Joy, who's with us by Teams.
Good evening, Chair. Joy Kadike, Head of Legal and Democratic Services.
Thank you very much. Now, we do have members of the public and the applicant wishing to address the planning committee, and they will be invited to speak shortly. The speaking time, I must emphasise, is 3 minutes and for each speaker, and no more than 3 minutes, and that will be enforced. Please may I remind speakers that your face and voice may appear on the live stream, and archived recording of the meeting will take place, and your names will be recorded in the council's minutes. And I'd also draw members' attention to the fact that there is a supplementary report and the recommendation is at the end of that supplementary. Apologies, we've had apologies from Councillor McDermott. As far as I know, that means we have a full house apart from him. Are there any declarations of interest? I'm not aware of any. No one's indicating, so I assume there aren't. Then the next item is the minutes of the meeting that took place on the 5th of June 2025. May I sign those as a true record, please? Thank you very much. Thank you. I would also draw your attention to the glossary of terms that appears on the agenda, which sets out what the various initials and so forth mean. And I've already mentioned there's a supplementary report. So we have one item on the agenda this evening, which is the Cobdown Sports Ground, Station Road, Ditton, Aylesford. And I would turn to James Mosley and ask that he introduce this item and explain it, please.
Thank you, Chair. This application relates to Cobdown Sports Ground in Ditton. The application seeks full planning permission for various works and includes the demolition and erection of a new clubhouse building, the redevelopment and refurbishment of the existing academy building, the linking of the new clubhouse and refurbished academy building to form the performance campus building, the refurbishment of Cobdown Park Pavilion, retention and refurbishment of the Western Lawn Hut, creation of a recreation area, the demolition of existing ancillary buildings and structures across the site, the addition of a single-storey security gatehouse and cantilever entrance gate, the provision of a new grounds maintenance building and service area, upgrades to existing grass pitches, the relaying of an existing artificial pitch to a 3G service for community use on a managed basis, creation of new car and cycle parking areas, and the diversion and amendments to the public rights of way running across the site. The application site is located within Ditton to the north of the London Road, to the northwest of Station Road, and to the south of the M20. The site is located within an urban area, being situated within the defined settlement boundary of Ditton. Public rights of way MR492 runs across the site in a south to north directions. There, roughly along there. And MR491 runs along the north boundary of the site from Station Road. Wraps around. See that sort of shape at the bottom. In addition, the site is designated as open space to be protected. The red line of the site excludes an existing 3G pitch. And two full-size grass pitches, which have been the subject of separate applications, along with the first team car parking area. See. The first team pitch, first team parking just to the south, pitch in the, so these are outside of the application. Right. The red rectangle in the northeast of the site is the southeast water compound and also does not form part of the application site. The site is occupied by the London City Lionesses, a professional women's football club and the only club in the Women's Super League that does not have a men's affiliate. Cobdown Park comprises a number of pitches, including two artificial pitches, and the main clubhouse and academy buildings are located towards the entrance of the site. The site is accessed from Station Road and an internal driveway runs along the southern boundary before turning north. The entrance here, across the south. Turning up. The main entrance to the site and internal driveway also serves the commercial properties to the north, including Cobdown House and the Kent FA, and the residential properties within Cobdown Park and Sheldon Courts to the west and northwest of the site. To the north of the wider Cobdown Park site lies Ditton Stream, which runs in a general east-west direction. And here you can see the site entrance from Station Road, looking in a western direction, and you see the existing clubhouse there. And here you can see the existing clubhouse, which is proposed to be demolished as part of this application. And here you can see the existing academy building located to the north of the existing clubhouse, which is proposed to be refurbished, connected to the new proposed clubhouse. Here you can see the first team pitch, which has recently been relayed and resurfaced and was the subject of a separate application. Again, this falls outside of the application site, this pitch. Here you can see the internal driveway heading in a west direction, and to the right you can see the first team car park, which is presently under construction as part of the previously approved application. And in the background you can just see out a single-storey dwelling which is situated along. And here you can see the internal driveway heading in a north direction and towards the commercial properties to the north of the site. To the west of the driveway lies a floodlit artificial pitch, and to the east lies the recently relayed first team pitch. And the tree you can see here is subject to a TPO. Here you can see the western parcel of the application site looking towards the south. And here you can see the Western Lawn Hut situated towards the west boundary of the application site. And this structure is proposed to be retained, repaired and refurbished. And here you can see the Cobdown Park Pavilion located towards the northern boundary of the application site. The pavilion is proposed to be refurbished as part of this application, along with the introduction of a decking area. Again, looking at the northern parcel, looking towards the western parcel, looking towards the north. And in the background, you can just one of the properties within Cobdown Park. And here you can see the artificial pitch located in the west of the site and looking towards the north. In the background, you can see the commercial property of Cobdown House, which is the white building. The pitch is proposed to be relayed and be a 3G surface and made available to the wider community on a managed basis, along with use of the academy, the club. In addition, the hours of use of the floodlights are proposed to be reduced from 10 o'clock with a 30-minute buffer to 9 o'clock. And here you can see what would be the proposed ground maintenance area situated to the south of the site. This part of the site is situated on a higher land level to that of the adjacent artificial pitch. The application includes the diversion of an existing public right-of-way which runs across the site, and here you can see, looking towards the south boundary of the site, where the proposed diverted public right-of-way would enter the site from London Road. So this driveway here falls outside of the application site and I think serves the adjacent bungalow property here, and the diverted public right-of-way just to the right of this fence line here. So this before continuing along the internal driveway or adjacent to the Again, here you can see the proposed entrance point looking from the opposite side of London Road, where the diverted public right-of-way would enter the site. So just to the left of this pillar. And here you can see the eastern car park. This car park is, and part of the site is understood to currently be occupied by South East Water as a parking area / compound who are undertaking works north of the site. Here you can see public right-of-way MR492, which presently enters the site from Station Road before heading north and across the M20. And this right-of-way is proposed to be diverted as part of the application to the section we just saw entering from London Road. And here you can see the eastern pitches looking towards the northeast. And in the background, you can just make out the properties situated along Station Road. These pitches are situated outside of the red line of the application site, and were the subject of a separate application which granted consent for the pitch to be relayed along with the installation of boundary trees. And here you can see the north of the site where public right-of-way MR491 meets MR492 before continuing across the M20 and towards Panatoni Park. So a bit where we're still on here is MR492, and you can just see around here which sort of wraps around the back of these eastern pitches where MR491 travels and joins MR492. Point where photos taken. And here you can see the northern parcel of the application site looking in a general west direction, and to the left you have a 3G pitch which falls outside of this application. And again, looking at the northern parcel towards the northeast. And here you can see the eastern pitches looking towards the south. So in this area, the pitches are generally proposed to be improved and reorientated to provide academy pitches. And here you can see an existing 3G pitch, which lies outside of the application site and looking towards the northwest. And in the background, you can just see the Kent FA building. Here you can see some of the ancillary structures proposed to be removed from the site. Here you can see a pavilion located adjacent to the northern boundary of the site. This structure is also proposed to be removed and is understood to have asbestos. And here you can see the existing site plan. Cobdown Park Sports Ground was acquired by the applicant in June 2024 for sole use as their training ground facility and has been in operation at the sites since then for training purposes only. Their matches are played at Bromley Football Club site on Hayes Lane in Bromley. The application site was previously owned by Marple Holdings Limited, a private company who operated the site previously on a for-profit basis with pitches available to hire and a bar and function room operating as a primary revenue stream. Prior to the sale of the Cobdown Park site to the London City Lionesses, an applicant, use by any other clubs was ceased by the previous owners. And here you can see the proposed demolition plan. So the proposal includes the removal of the existing clubhouse and several single-storey structures, clubhouse being located here. 33 trees, the majority of which are either Class U or Class C trees, are also proposed to be removed and replaced with 90 native trees. The proposal seeks to to continue to utilise the site's existing vehicular access point from Station Road, and access within the site will continue via the existing internal driveway. And here you can see the proposed site plan. The proposed development includes the demolition and erection of a new clubhouse building, the redevelopment and refurbishment of the existing academy building, the linking of the new clubhouse and refurbished academy building to form the performance campus building, the addition of a single-storey security gatehouse and cantilever entrance gate, the refurbishment of Cobdown Park Pavilion and addition of a decking/seating area, the retention and refurbishment of the Western Lawn Hut, the demolition of existing ancillary buildings and structures across the site, the provision of a new grounds maintenance building and service area, upgrades to existing grass pitches, the relaying of an existing artificial pitch to a 3G surface for community use on a managed basis, creation of new car and cycle parking areas, the diversion and amendment to the public right-of-way running across the site, and the incorporation of new landscaping across the site and the installation of boundary treatments. If we start with the performance campus building, which is located here adjacent to the entrance of the site, and here you can see the proposed east and south elevations. And here you can see the proposed west and north elevations. And here you can see the proposed floor plan. So the ground floor plan is on the left of the screen and the first floor plan is on the right. The ground floor plan is proposed to comprise a lobby reception space that's all heighted. So here, first team changing facilities and locker rooms, academy changing rooms, facilities, a gym, swimming pool, along with sort of hydrotherapy facilities, along with office and meeting rooms and a laundry room. A separate first team entrance is proposed here, along with a service entrance here, main entrance here, and an academy entrance down here. The eastern car park sits just to the east of the proposed building. The first floor is proposed to provide a dining room and kitchen and players lounge at the front, an open space sort of office, media suite, meeting and event space, along with educational rooms and coaching changings here. And here you can see a visual of the main entrance looking from the eastern car park and what would be the reception lobby area of the performance campus building. And here you can see a visual of the proposed first team entrance. Here you can see a visual of the west elevation looking from the first team pitch. And you can see a visual looking towards the south and back at the proposed gym area of the building. A security gatehouse is proposed at the entrance of the site, along with a cantilever sliding security gate. And here you can see the proposed elevations and floor plan for that. And here you can see a visual of the security gatehouse, left, performance campus building, and the eastern car park looking from Station Road and what is the entrance to the site. Cobdown Park Pavilion is proposed to be refurbished as part of the proposals, and on screen now you can see the existing and proposed elevations, the existing being the brown coloured, proposed being the darker coloured, and the main change here really is the removal of a lean-to timber shed type structure here. And the pavilion is proposed to be refurbished as part of these proposals. Here you can see the proposed floor plan, so retaining 2 changing rooms, a kitchen area and sort of open heating space, along with storage area. And you can see a visual looking towards the front of the proposed pavilion, refurbished pavilion, along with the proposed seating and decking area. And here you can see a visual looking towards the east, and in the background, beyond the artificial pitch, you can see the proposed performance campus building. A grounds maintenance building and area is proposed in the south of the site, adjacent in close proximity to London roads. And here you can see the proposed elevations of that building, which is proposed to be finished in black horizontal timber cladding. You can see the proposed floor and roof plans for the grounds maintenance building. Proposed development seeks to divert and amend the current public rights of way running across the site. Above is a map of the existing public right of way network. So MR492, which runs from Station Road across the site to the north, and MR491 runs across the northern boundary of the site before joining MR42 at this point here. Those that are proposed to be amended, affected by this application. The proposed development includes the diversion of the public right-of-way MR492 so that the right-of-way enters from London Road, purple line here, and runs parallel with the existing internal driveway before turning at the top, running along the northern boundary of the site and adjacent to Ditton Stream until meeting MR491, which the main change here is where this blue loop is MR, supposed to be squared off. The diversion is to ensure the safety and privacy of the first team and academy players, which is necessary to enable the development to be carried out. The diversion is also the subject of an application to KCC under the provisions of Section 257 of the Town and Country Planning Act. And here you can see the existing and proposed elevations from London Road, main being the entrance to the diverted public way. And here you can see the proposed landscape plan. The proposal includes additional planting across the site, and BNG of at least 10% is proposed to be achieved within the site boundary. In addition, a new parking area is proposed to the south of the relayed artificial pitch. So the artificial pitch becomes a 3G pitch, and a new car park is proposed to the south of that, along with 4 disabled places adjacent to the refurbished Copdown Park Pavilion. And here you can see a proposed aerial view of the site. So you have the performance campus building, grounds maintenance area, the new car park, relayed pitch, Copdown Park Pavilion, Western Lawn. These relayed academy pitches north, and the public right of way just running northern boundary down the internal driveway. You can see an aerial view of the site looking from the southeast. And again, an aerial view looking from the southwest of the site. And finally, a visual of the entrance of the proposed performance campus building. The supplementary agenda sets out the updated and additional representations received since the agenda was published, along with providing a couple of points of clarity. The supplementary agenda also sets out some minor tweaks to conditions, plus the addition of 2 further conditions requested from South East Water. Since the supplementary agenda was published, we've had further comments from Sport England. So the Sport England comments, additional comments made today, whilst not objecting to the facilities being proposed, raised concerns regarding the loss of the hockey and croquet facilities at the site. This is a topic that is covered in detail in the committee report from paragraph 6.15 to 6.43. Essentially, Sport England want a mechanism included in any decision to ensure replacement facilities are provided. As set out in the report, the application does not result in the loss of pitches, but whilst it is regrettable that the hockey use would be lost to the site, replacement facilities cannot be sought as a result of this application through either condition or legal agreement. Any financial contribution sought under a legal agreement would need to be linked to an unidentified committed scheme, and as such, no scheme is available. The obligation would not be directly related to the development, and therefore fails under the test set out in regulations 122 of the SEAL regulations and paragraph 158 of the MPPF. Similarly, the inclusion of a Grampian condition for off-site works that are outside the control of the applicant would fail the 6 tests for imposing planning conditions set out at paragraph 57 of the MPPF, these being necessary, relevant to planning and to the development to be permitted, enforceable, precise and reasonable in all other respects. As there is no committed or consented schemes for a replacement hockey pitch, it would not be reasonable under these tests to require one to be provided to enable the football club to implement their permission. The council is currently in the process of developing a new local plan, with the recently adopted playing pitch strategy forming part of the local plan evidence base. Sites coming forward through the new local plan will need to plan in sports provisions, and this will address any potential shortfalls and sporting needs recognised within the borough. The recommendation remains unchanged, subject to the updated and additional conditions as set out within the supplementary report.
Thank you very much. We have 5 speakers this evening, and I will call the speakers one by one to come and sit here. And the first one on my list is Carol Thompson. When you're ready, press the button on the right, and the 3 minutes will start from when you start speaking.
Thank you, Chair and members, for the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Carol Thompson, and I'm here on behalf of Minster Cleaning and a number of local businesses employed by LCL at Cobdown Park, as well as a long-term local resident and a parent. My children have played at Ditton Miners FC, and for the past 15 years, I've been an active committee member at the club. In that time, I have worked with local schools, the council, local businesses and organisations and countless families to grow grassroots football in this area. I have helped organise tournaments that bring over 3,000 people to Kilnbarn Recreation Ground in a single weekend and set up early years sessions to introduce children as young as 3 to the game. These experiences have given me a deep personal investment in ensuring that sport and community facilities in this part of Kent continue to thrive for future generations. Alongside my role as a parent and community volunteer, I am responsible for the upkeep of the Cobdown Park site and someone who cares deeply about how the site is used and maintained. As part of this role, I am proud to contribute to the local economy as both a supporter of local businesses and as I work every day with local suppliers, cleaning and sanitary companies and ground staff, making sure this site is well cared for. I was previously employed by K Sports and worked closely with neighbours and the paying facility hirers. When LCL acquired Cobdown Park in 2024, I was retained in my role and I continue to oversee operations to this day. LCL support many more businesses in their day-to-day operations, not only in our local area, but across Kent as a whole, using the regular services of multiple tradespeople. Through this work, I have seen the direct benefits LCL have brought to the community and surrounding areas, raising professional standards, creating new opportunities for local employment and generating contracts for local suppliers. The proposed performance campus will significantly expand on this, with more than 50 permanent jobs and nearly 300 construction roles, many of which can and should go to local people. Companies like Minster Cleaning will benefit directly from these proposals, and in their letter of representation to the application, they state, "It was fantastic news that the London City Lionesses were going to be building a new academy and training grounds for their players, as this is another good opportunity to employ more local people, and that it is a privilege working alongside the London City Lionesses staff. For me, in my role at LCL and both as a parent and a resident, this is about ensuring the site delivers lasting benefits for the local community and local businesses. The Lionesses are role models for the next generation, particularly young girls in our community, and this development gives us an opportunity to match that inspiration with real tangible investment in local sport and local livelihoods." Thank you.
Thank you very much. Could I now call forward Matthew Sharp, K Sports Cobdown Hockey Club? And the same applies, 3 minutes from when you start speaking.
Planning Committee Chair, committee members and council officers. I speak today on behalf of K Sports Hockey Club as their chair, representing nearly 95 years of community sport in Tunbridge and Malling Borough. This application, to which we object, puts community hockey at risk in the borough. The Cobdown hockey pitch has been lost without permission, our players forced outside of the borough and no genuine replacement offered. Unless conditions are enforced for re-provision, hockey will be eliminated entirely. Our club was given 48 hours notice to vacate the site we'd occupied since the 1930s, with a long-term usage agreement still in term and the notice period for termination not used. We've displaced 3 ladies teams, 3 men's teams and a growing junior section to venues well outside the borough. This hockey pitch was lawfully approved and installed under application 16/00/955/FL, in which it is clearly identified as a hockey pitch in all documentation, correspondence and documents, with planning conditions requiring community use with the appropriate agreements being held by the planning authority. The lawful use of the land remains a hockey pitch. yet it has been repurposed for car parking and storage without permission or change of use. Planning officers have already confirmed that this change likely requires proper applications, but none have been submitted. This has left the pitch unusable and has removed a key provision contrary to MPPF and as specifically identified in the council's adopted playing pitch strategy, which already highlights a shortage of facilities in the borough. The application also proposes replacing a sand-based hockey pitch with a 3G football surface. This is not an upgrade. It's a different surface designed for football and cannot be used for hockey or other sports that desire that surface level. If permitted without re-provision, this will permanently exclude hockey from the borough, leave no provision, worsening an already significant gap. Despite months of effort, the applicant has consistently failed to engage. They did not attend meetings we had arranged through England Hockey. They've ignored correspondence from both the club and wider stakeholders, despite asking to meet with us directly via our national governing body and Kent Sport Physical Activity Service. Sport England, a key consultee, have objected to the loss of the hockey pitch along with the croquet lawns. We therefore request that Sport England's planning conditions are fully enforced. The existing hockey pitch must not be removed or converted.
I must stop you there. You've reached the 3 minutes. Thank you. Press the button to the right and 3 minutes from when you start speaking.
Hello. I speak this evening as a resident with a house in the grounds of Cobdown Park, and for several neighbouring residents who have also asked me to reinforce their support. Having lived within the park for 12 years, I've seen previous owners sadly deteriorate the site with underinvestment, a lack of engagement in the neighbourhood. The London City Lionesses, however, have made a dramatic change. They respect nearby residents as valued stakeholders, openly sharing their plans and creating a lasting home and facilities that will be properly maintained. Rather than considering us an inconvenience to be appeased, LCL has actively embraced the local community as an asset, taking constructive feedback during the design process to shape a proposal that I feel enriches the current site. I'm equally confident LCL will deliver the construction period efficiently and considerately. The proposed new buildings are high in quality of design and materiality and will improve the overall setting, especially compared to the rundown appearance of the existing buildings. The landscaping proposals bring significantly more trees and will make the space feel well managed rather than having been neglected historically. LCL is clearly making a long-term investment in sporting success, and they need a world-class facility to attract and nurture a leading squad and staff. The proposals allow TMBC to support growth in elite women's sport, send a powerful message to young people within the community, showing there are local opportunities into sport at the highest level. Approving this application will inspire participation, support grassroots programmes, and raise the profile of Tunbridge and Malling more widely. I and many local neighbours fully support the application. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now, next on my list is Greg Massini, Ditton Miners Football Club. Thank you.
Good evening. My name's Greg Mancini and I'm the Vice Chairman of the local football club, Ditton Miners. A local resident, only a mile away from Cobdown Park, and a former hirer for training at K Sports facility. I'm here this evening to support the planning application of the development of Cobdown Park. As mentioned in our club letter of support, we support the growth of girls' football and the opportunities this facility will bring. The displacement for teams and clubs last year was inconvenient and disruptive at the time, but I do not believe that this was a fault of the new owners. Whatever happened to this site, whether it was sold or not, disruption would have been caused in other ways to the same group of people that may feel affected now: facility users, local residents, and the local community. We have to look beyond what has happened in the past and look forward to the future. The vision of LCL and the plans for the site are amazing and much needed. A site that has become aged and run down and in desperate need of improvements. The community should be proud and embrace the vision, efforts and commitment that LCL are trying to achieve. I'm 100% confident the site will be better maintained, be more appealing and safer to local residents and to the local community. There must be many benefits to the local community that have come out already since LCL have been operating at Cobdown in only their first year. Once the community pitch is up and running, LCL will be able to give opportunities and support to local community more than what they're currently doing. Schools, clubs, and the community as a whole will benefit from the vision and opportunities that LCL will deliver. Encouraging the youth, supporting volunteers, along with engaging with the community, will show what a professional organisation can really deliver. This can include other factors that are involved in sports, not just playing football. I believe an important factor to this is how quick it can be built. The quicker the facility is improved, any building disruptions can be started, the quicker they can be finished. The quicker the community project can be expanded and delivered. LCL can then support the community with their full plans. As humans, we're sometimes scared of change and we can naturally fight against it, but embracing change and going on the journey with it is more enjoyable. Respecting any real concerns is important for all, but embracing the new future is more important. The excitement of the future should be valued more rather than dwelling on the past. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak.
Thank you. And lastly, can I call forward Ros Cheeseman, she's Medway Croquet Club?
It's still on. Thank you. Medway Croquet Club commends the applicant's aims to promote female footballing at Cobdown Park. However, this should not be at the expense of croquet, other sports and the local community. MCC tenants of Cobdown Park for more than 30 years were evicted with 48 hours notice in June 2024. It was stated at a meeting by the new owners that croquet and hockey clubs might remain on site. Subsequently, no response has been received from the owners to MCC's emails. MCC with grants provided 3 professionally laid lawns and a pavilion at Cobdown Park. The lawful use of that land remains croquet lawns. Despite exhaustive searches, the club is homeless. Members able to do so travel to Tunbridge Wells or Canterbury to play croquet, over 20 miles distanced from Cobdown Park. Attention should be drawn to TMBC's pitch playing strategy and Sport England's playing field policy, objection to loss of hockey and croquet, plus comments that while croquet was not in the PPS, it should not be set aside and forgotten. We believe replacement courts should be addressed through a Grampian condition prior to the loss of the current court to biodiversity net gain. To set up anew, funding will be required. A recent £100,000 quote was received to create 2 lawns from scratch. MCC would look for an agreed fair mitigation package to provide within TMB like-for-like lost facilities. 3 35 by 28 yards professionally laid lawns, a pavilion, storage, toilets and car parking. Members are urged to exercise discretion and democratic mandates to introduce a Grampian condition. Gender equal, croquet provides social and/or competitive options, is tactical, one of strategy and decision-making, mentally challenging for all ages, school children to 90-plus-year-olds. As in the Croquet Association's 3-minute promotional film, a professional sports psychologist states that of all the sports he has been involved with, croquet provides the greatest mental challenge. Croquet can be enjoyed by those physically unable to continue with more arduous sports such as squash. With tactics guidance, dementia sufferers are also able to enjoy croquet achievement. MCC is no longer fully functioning, unable to participate in matches. Previously, the club participated in UK and international competitions and hosted players from UK and abroad. MCC hosted occasional and regular weekly croquet sessions for the young and elderly community groups, including ×3 U3As. This important facility is currently lost to residents
You've
of the
got to the
borough.
3 minutes, just about.
Yes, thank you.
And then could I call forward Natalie Curtis on behalf of the applicant, please? And the it's already on, I see.
As long as yours. Yeah. Good evening, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Natalie Curtis and I'm the Operations Director at London City Lionesses. I'm really proud to be here tonight as a representative of the only independent Women's Super League team in England. Cobdown Park is really personal to me. I started my coaching journey there 21 years ago, and I know that this special place has given generations of memories to the borough. But I've also seen the impact of underinvestment in women's sport. For example, no young girl should ever go without a safe place to change or change a sanitary product, but just before she plays the game that she loves. Tonight, you can help us show a very different future. With the support of our owner, Michelle Kang, we achieved a historic promotion to the top tier of women's football. But to truly make this borough proud, we must now build a home that matches that ambition right here in Ditton. Our plan does 3 things. Firstly, it secures Cobdown Park as a home for sport, ending years of uncertainty and ensuring this valued space never goes unloved again. Second, it delivers real community benefits, a minimum of 50 permanent jobs, 285 construction roles, and over £1 million every single year into our local economy. Thirdly, it opens doors to opportunity, so we can double our academy, we can increase the amount of local offers to local children, and we can create inclusive programmes for SEND schools, as well as providing walking football for older women. We know that there's been regret over the hockey and croquet clubs in particular, but losing their leases underneath the previous ownership. That was abrupt and it was challenging for all. But tonight you can make sure that Cobdown Park is never vulnerable again. This application is about stability and investment, and it's about giving Cobdown Park a world-class future. This is not just about elite football. This is about what it means for people right here in Tunbridge and Magdalen. It's about the young daughter or granddaughter that walks through the gates of Cobdown Park for the first time with the opportunity to play at one of the leading facilities in the world, with her family watching proudly from the pavilion. We've built a strong relationship with our community and we're enormously proud of that. That's why this scheme includes resident-backed landscaping, 24/7 site management, stronger traffic and security protocols, reduced floodlight hours, and a 10% biodiversity net gain. Cobdown Park will be greener, safer, and more valuable than it's ever been before. Chair, members, tonight you have the chance to safeguard Cobdown Park and to make this borough a leader, both nationally and internationally, in women's football. We have the chance to create the next Alessia Russo.
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Few of the issues raised and references to Grampian conditions and so forth. Could I just ask James to come back and deal with those general issues? Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. So this is a privately owned site. It's not a facility or recreation ground owned by the Borough Council or a parish council. The artificial pitch and site were previously operated on a pitch for hire and profit basis. Clubs only ever had short-term contract leases or were using the facility on a pay-and-go basis. Prior to the sale of the cob down of the site to the London City Lionesses, use by any other clubs was ceased by the previous owners. There is no community use agreement in place, and therefore the hockey and croquet club's use of this site has not been formally secured in any way. There are presently no planning controls to insist that certain clubs or groups play at the site. If there was a community use agreement in place, it is unlikely to relate to a specific club, but would rather seek to ensure a wider community use. The artificial pitch proposed to be resurfaced for a 3G pitch was known to suffer from flooding issues and was used 60% of the time for football. In addition, the council's playing pitch strategy identifies a need for additional sports-lit 3G pitches to meet the demand from grassroots football. According to the FA, over the past 4 years, there has been an increase of 56% in women and girls playing football, with a 265% rise in the number of girls playing at an emerging talent centre. The club's ambition and focus is to help further the development of women's and girls football, which is of national and international significance. This represents a significant investment in this site, the local community and the club itself. The proposal does not result in the loss of pitches at the site, retains the open space designation and ensures the future of the site as a sporting facility. The community will have access to the new 3G football pitch on a managed basis as part of the club's community initiatives, which will be secured by the Community Benefits Plan via a Section 106 agreement. The club have been in discussion with Kent FA about the potential for the 3G pitch to be used as a central hub for Kent girls and ladies football leagues and other Kent FA recreational women's football leagues, as well as used by local school, SEND days and veteran leagues. The pitch will also enable the club to double the size of the academy. The club run the only dedicated Tier 1 professional game academy in Kent. This is the highest level football academy licence awarded by the FA to clubs in the WSL. The intention is that it provides a more consistent, high quality and holistic player pathway for talented female players aged 14 to 20, focusing on both football and personal development. Tier 1 represents the highest level of elite player development provision. Use of this new pitch will also be supported by access to the refurbished community pavilion or Cobdown Park Pavilion, adjoining recreational area and parking area. However, if the proposed development was considered to be a loss, the community benefits and planning benefits proposed by the proposals as a whole are considered to far outweigh any harm. The community, social and economic benefits are set out within the committee report within paragraph 6.44 to 6.151. It is therefore not considered necessary or justifiable in planning terms to secure replacement provision, and policy does not require this. It is also noted that the council is currently in the process of developing a new local plan. The recently adopted playing pitch strategy will form part of the local plan evidence base, and the new local plan and sites coming forward will need to plan in sports provisions, and this will address any potential shortfalls and sporting needs within the borough.
Thank you very much. I turn to the local members. Colin.
Thank you, Chair, for letting me speak. Firstly, I'd like to thank James on a brilliant presentation. I visited K-Sport before. The problem with the previous owners was non-stop. We shouldn't forget they tried to build houses on this site. They were very unhelpful when it came to the finished sauna. They didn't look after the public right away, and then they subletted the site to Amazon, which caused an absolute nightmare for our local people. The way they treated their tenants, the hockey and crochet was not nice. But it's important to remember that they were K-Sport tenants and not LCL. I appreciate they might be cross, but it's not the Lionesses' fault. I hope they find somewhere else to play, but I don't think it's for the Lionesses to pay for it. I was very excited when I got promoted last year, and mainly because they can now offer our community is fantastic. I also read that Russo, who is the English international player, who used to live in Maidstone, had to travel to London to get into a good academy, which is not good. Having a club that is not reliant on men's funding will be great for girls in our area and across the county. This can only grow our local economy. I personally think this is the best application for sport I've seen in my time as a councillor here. Finally, I'd like to say to all my fellow councillors, we know just how much house building we've had in north of the borough, and to me, this is like a breath of fresh air and a great asset to the area. So I will be voting for approval. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. And firstly, I'd like to compliment James and the planning team for such a comprehensive report on this important application. As someone whose own daughter played girls and then ladies football at Castle Colts, a local team based at Ditton and Allington, from around the year 2000 through to 2018, when she moved to Sussex, I think she wouldn't mind me saying this development would have seemed thoroughly incredible and wholly unlikely during those years. No longer a slightly inconvenient adjunct to the men's teams, this at last provides facilities tailor-made for women and comparable to men's football at the highest level. Importantly, though, this development is not just for elite women footballers with the new 3G pitch available for community use, and I wholly support the intention that the academy and this site becomes a central hub for Kent girls and ladies football, something my daughter could scarcely have envisaged in those years. Therefore, in general terms, my inclination is to support this application, while noting the local employment opportunities it brings and all the other community benefits as set out in section 7.1 to be secured by section 106 agreement. However, we have heard and noted the strong and expressed and well-considered concerns of the K Sports Hockey Club and also the Croquet Club. James has set out some considerations on planning terms. I just wondered whether it's possible to James or Robin to address these issues in terms of advice as to how those clubs can best obtain assistance from TMBC. I have a few more points to add on other matters, so I'd be grateful, Chair, if you can cover these after the committee hear from James or Robin on that. Thank you. Okay.
James.
Thank you, Councillor. So I think in terms of helping the other clubs out, it really does fall outside of this planning remit. Our assessment, we have to assess this application on its own planning merits, and we've assessed the impact upon other sporting provisions that once played at the club, particularly within paragraphs 6.15 onwards of the assessment. As I said, we're in the process of developing a local plan. We've got a playing pitch strategy which identifies shortfalls or needs across the borough. And as that plan progresses, allocations and policies will need to meet that need. So my advice to the clubs here would be to continue to engage with Council's policy team and leisure services.
Yes, do come back.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, I'll carry on, Chair, if that's okay. I'd like to pick up 1 or 2 points raised by Ditton Parish Council, who generally commend the application, albeit with a few reservations. The first concerns the diverted footpath, which I personally think takes a more interesting route alongside Ditton Stream. It does not appear it will have lighting, and while the current footpath has no direct lighting, they make the reasonable point that the path design and the route may encourage more people to use it, and this may pose more risks. I understand the concerns about bats and wildlife being disturbed by lighting, but I'll be interested to hear the views of other members on this subject and whether a subdued low-level form of lighting might be appropriate. Secondly, they point out the footpath MR 492-491 to the northeast of the grounds is liable to flood. Are there any improvements to the site in that area that might mitigate this? Thirdly, as regards construction, is it possible to restrict site traffic between 2:30 and 3:30 to avoid peak school time? A framework construction environmental management plan has been submitted with the planning application, and can we secure a detailed MP by planning condition? Fourthly, is it possible to briefly clarify the position as to how access will be maintained out of hours for Sheldon Court and Cobdown Park residents and other businesses on the site? For example, can deliveries easily arrive at all times? Fifthly, the building design is excellent and will reduce energy usage. In addition, could future provision be made for possible solar paneling on the roof? Elsewhere, I note there's no objections from the statutory consultees, and subject to consideration of the above, I'm very happy to support this application. Thank you.
Thank you.
So if we start with the lighting point, so there is a condition 19 which requires details of external lighting to be submitted. It's about finding that balance really of providing a public right of way which is safe and lit, be the ecological harm of additional lighting. So the initial intention is to have low level bollard lighting running across the internal driveway section, and then no lighting in the sort of northern section where there are tree canopy and potential bat and bird issues that would be caused by having lighting in those areas. I would say is the current footpath isn't lit at all. So there's some additional lighting proposed across the more sort of built up or concentrated parts of the site. In regards to the sort of flooding, the Ditton Stream falls, which is located to the north of the site, falls outside of the applicant's ownership. However, all parties are working to sort of try and come up with solutions there, including desilting of the stream, which took place earlier this year, and as a result there are bunds to the south of it which act as an informal flood defence. However, in regards to sort of flooding and surface water drainage, if I refer you to conditions 13, 14 of the main agenda and 37 of the supplementary, they really are sort of to ensure that this development does not increase flood risk or surface water flow across the site or the surrounding area. The existing site, there is effectively no sort of drainage strategy in place, so the water just flows as it feels fit or sits. So the introduction of a drainage strategy, which includes a geocellular tank in the eastern car park, will only sort of aid or improve the current situation. In regards to the traffic, and I note your points around the hours of use, the condition 3 requires a construction environmental management plan to be submitted and approved by the council. So your comments are noted, and the applicant obviously here that will need to submit that to us for consideration. In regards to access, residents of Sheldon Court, Cobdown Park and the commercial buildings in the north have a right of access across the internal driveway. So that will need to be maintained. That's outside of the planning remit. However, nonetheless, condition 5 relates to site management, and part of that is to ensure that those residents and businesses continue to have appropriate access across the site. I think the final point is energy. The proposed building and structure is significantly more energy efficient, carbon efficient than that approved. It doesn't currently propose PV panels, but comments are noted moving forward.
Are you content with those answers?
Yes, thank you, Chair. I may come back later, but certainly content with what I've heard. Thank you.
Take the opportunity, as members know, I'm always keen on public footpath issues. And of course, with regard to the public footpath, it will be the county council at the end of the day make a diversion rule. Dave Davis.
There is expression in the objections to the use of Grampian rules or conditions. Could we have a little bit of an explanation of those, and whether there's anything that the hockey club and croquet club could get derive from that, please?
Thank you, Councillor Davis. So the paragraph 58 of the MPPF and Regulation 122 of the Seal Regulation set out effectively the tests of what you need to meet to apply a condition. What members need to really consider here is when applying a condition, is it necessary to make the application acceptable? Our view, or the council's view here at the moment, is that if it is a deemed loss, the benefits of the scheme outweigh that harm. We also don't feel that the inclusion of a Grampian condition for off-site works that are outside the control of the applicant would meet the 6 tests for imposing conditions as set out within paragraph 57 of the MPPF. So for that reason, we have not recommended a condition, and ultimately we've come to, as set out within the committee report, our recommendation for approval.
I understand from that they're a condition which cannot apply in this case. Is that correct?
Yes, our view is that the requested Grampian conditions from Sport England don't meet the relevant tests, and therefore we cannot apply them.
Dr. Dalton?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you, I'd like to ask the officers, when you mentioned about being a Tier 1 facility, the only one in Kent, have we got any more in the rest of the country? If so, how many? And how many of those that are just not affiliated to a men's team? Because I think women's soccer and rugby, I should be looking on Saturday, of course, has come on in leaps and bounds, and I fully support this application. I think it's a diamond for the borough of Tunbridge and Morley. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. So I think there are around 25 Tier 1 academies in the country. I think this would be the only one that's, being an independent women's team, I think this would be the only one that solely relates to a women's team. The rest are all of the also affiliated with the big men's clubs in the Premier League. In order to be a Tier 1, there's a range of categories you have to meet, including investment and the sort of level of education on offer. So as far as I'm aware, the London City Lionesses would be the only women's Tier 1, solely women's Tier 1 academy.
Chapman?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. While I acknowledge the concerns raised around the diversion of the public right-of-way MR492, could we look at securing a condition to guarantee that the new route is properly serviced and well lit?
Yes, thank you, Councillor. Condition 35 relates to, sorry, 35 relates to hard and soft landscaping. And I believe that does include also surfacing. Yeah. Condition 35. Prior to the commencement of landscaping works, a scheme of hard and soft landscaping, including details of existing trees to be retained and size, species, cultivar, planting heights, densities and positions of any soft landscaping, the design of access to the public right-of-way and associated surfacing, widths, gradients, landscaping and structures, and details of any signage shall be submitted to and agreed in writing by the local planning authority. And that's secured by condition 35.
Thank you. Paul Hickmott?
Well, I have to say, we have to look at the plan that's in front of us. We can't magic up other areas for other things. I regret that the hockey and croquet will have to move, but this is one of the most exciting applications we've had since Leybourne Country Park. This area has been under threat with the housing juggernaut for a very long time. That threat will be removed. That will be a wonderful green space. It's going to provide first-class facilities, not just for the elite sports ladies, for women and girls, which is very welcome, because we all know how difficult it is to the local clubs to provide football for young girls, but it's virtually impossible. I was most impressed when I went round on the site visit with their vision. We spoke to them about getting school children in there, etc., etc. They seem to have taken all that on board. I'm very, very pleased with this. It's not very often I come to an Area 3 and find myself actually wanting to support what's on the papers. Very rarely. I really do support this. I think it's a really, really good application. I just wish it had been installed.
Luke again.
With my question answered, I just want to say the benefits are clear. This proposal delivers cutting-edge sporting facilities, community access, economic strengths, and environmental enhancements, while managing its importance through the design and mitigation. For the reasons, I asked my other members to approve this application subject to recommendations and conditions and safeguards.
Thank you. Anyone else? Peter.
Thank you, Chair. I welcome the enhancement to the buildings and on the site and agree with the redevelopment of the site. It is unfortunate about the existing hockey and croquet facilities that we're going to miss. And I do hope they'll find other areas, but we can't address that tonight. I agree with the diversion of the footpath through the site and would ask that low-level lighting would be welcomed alongside the Ditton stream. I think it's a footpath that will be used widely by people from the workers from the Panettone site, and I think it's worth having some low-level lighting. I didn't see anywhere about electric car charging points. I suppose it may have just been missed off, or I didn't see it. I'm also concerned about the PV panels, which I think were coming later. I don't understand that for such a cutting-edge building, even with its brilliant credentials for being green, no PV panels. And they're saving rainwater to water the pitches. It would have been nice if they'd used the grey water for flushing the loos as well, because they've got lots of those. And I was told by the director earlier that it was going to be greener at Cobdown. Well, I think the plastic pitches will be. Right, on to 4. Condition 35. The new planting, I'd like to make sure that we plant native species. I don't want to see all the laurels around the edges. I think a monoculture isn't very biodiverse, so I'd like to see better biodiversity in the hedging. And I think that's about it, but I do welcome it, and I do think it's brilliant for the area, for the whole of Tunbridge Morning, actually. Thank you.
Thank you. There's a couple of questions there.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor. I take your point around the PV panels and the use of grey and rainwater harvesting. We ultimately have got to assess what's in front of us, and statutory consultees are content. We as officers are content with the proposals. I think it's important to remember what's existing on site at the moment in terms of drainage provisions and lack of water harvesting, along with the efficiency of the existing building proposed to be demolished. So that would be, I take that on that point. On EV charging points, condition 25, I'd refer you to on that. And in regards to landscaping, yeah, condition 35, I'd be happy to tweak that to include a line around sort of additional native planting. I'd like to leave that to officers to delegate that.
That's great, thank you.
Seems to me that members are happy with this. If I'm right about that, I'm going to take the opportunity to move from the chair that we approve the recommendation as amended, plus the tweak about native. I think. For a seconder, please. Seconded by Roger Dalton. Can I?
Just to confirm, so you're recommending approval in accordance with the conditions set out in the agenda, subject to the changes in the supplementary agenda, including the 2 additional changes, along with the amended wording of condition 35 to include reference to native planting.
that correct?
That's correct, isn't it? That's good. Do I need to? I think I'm just going to put it to a vote of show of hands. Those in favour, please. Thought that was the case. Unanimous. Thank you. And I would say to the croquet club and the hockey club, please do liaise with leisure services of this council and also engage with the local plan process. And more on the local plan is going to start to appear at our meeting of the housing and planning meeting in October. But both of those are a mechanism for perhaps making some progress to what you're seeking. That's the only application on the agenda. I've no notice of any other business save you will see at the end, find it, there is the report of Bill on page 111, which was the paddock at Rochester Road, Durham, which I read was a split decision on the appeal, and I take it local members are aware of that. Good. There being no other business, I declare this meeting closed. Thank you all for your attendance, including the public.